There is quite a satisfying feeling to have complete confession and trust over someone's intentions. The vivid transparency of one's motives may not always please us, usually to their naturally selfish and egotistical pursuits that may obstruct our own. However, just having that acknowledgement from someone who aren't afraid to integrally state and demonstrate their objective to us can make us feel personally secure because we are liberated from that uneasy, agitative, and dreadful feeling of imminent threats disrupting our personally critical sense of structural autonomy. And we can be proactive or be prepared to maneuver or adapt ourselves to those circumstances. And we all know when it comes to trust, it's all about the transparency of motives and intentions. An honest enemy will always be better than a dishonest friend because they have nothing to hide. I mean, what would you gentlemen prefer dealing with? A full frontal assault from your enemy at a mutually agreed time at dawn, or a surprise sneak attack at night from one of your own corrupt lieutenants while everyone is comfortably sleeping? A dishonest friend will always be way more dangerous to us because just like every good friend we have, they already managed to enter our circle and turn the pages on the book of our strengths and weaknesses. Through the time we've spent with them, they already have a significant amount of understanding of our behaviors, tendencies, and habits. And like every human being in this world, we all have our own little cracks and holes that can be maliciously exploited for the sole benefit of others at the cost of our own. Whether it is time, money, opportunities, reputation, emotional investment, or cognitive capacity, a major, unworthy, or unworthwhile expenditure on either one of those would have dealt quite a significant damage to the well-being of our personal circumstances. I mean, what civilized individual would feel any form of worthiness or worthwhileness from wasting time, money, and emotions on a person who exposed and exploited their most vulnerable weaknesses? No one. So that is why it is best for us to spot and get rid of them before any critically damaging blow is dealt. The trouble with friends is that when we become comfortably and extensively acquainted with them, we tend to solely focus on their bright side because almost always we will inevitably look forward to spending our valuable resources with them as we already have a predetermined perspective for an overall positive experience when we are around them. We tend to ignorantly dismiss their subtle, minor discrepancies as acceptable or tolerable imperfections, and this is where we should pay more careful attention to. We will never know what a person's true intentions are until every circumstance around them are able to comfortably and seamlessly facilitate their own agendas. And when that time comes, it'll already be too late, as the damage had already been dealt before you could realize their true motives. And this is no different to a friend, as they become more comfortable in exploiting your tolerance to disrespect and exploitations, even seemingly insignificant ones. Their true intentions will slowly surface themselves for you to be their main disposable victim. Imperfections that don't directly do a disservice to another person or the whole circle is wise to be tolerated, such as their own different personal preferences. But imperfections that collectively, extensively, and repeatedly inflict tiny scratches and bruises to another person or the whole circle, such as wasting other people's time and creating doubts on other people's reputation through constantly arriving or paying up late despite being called out, is wise to be discarded completely. Because over time they will become way too selfishly comfortable in exploiting us bit by bit, and worse, may escalate into more significantly damaging conducts or intentions. These are my two subtle signs that a person or your friend is a sneaky, subtle snake in the grass. Number 1. They do not demonstrate integrity even in small and insignificant matters. There is an old saying that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And though it's not always identical in magnitude every time, it still provides a very reliable and noticeable pattern about the concurrent attitude of a person towards their personal responsibilities and their own personal ethics towards life and other people. We all know that integrity is pretty much the best way to demonstrate your level of trustworthiness to other people. The simple matter of saying what you want to do, what you are assigned to do, or what you have to do, and then actually doing it is something implicitly admirable and approvable in the eyes of many, especially in this age of fabrications and selling dreams. Integrity implies the degree of your actual forefront intentions and priorities. Simple as it is, what you value more, think about more, depend on more, and want more of will always be your main priorities. If your friend isn't able to constantly demonstrate integrity, even in small matters like meeting up without being overly late or bailing out by making silly excuses, it simply showcases the level of priority you have in their lives and/or their ethics towards friendship in general. Usually, this means they either solely focus on what they can personally benefit out of the meeting rather than strengthening the bond of your friendship, or they've not been taught proper respectable social ethics by their parents. And if they are that pure in transactional motives or that inept in social ethics within a friendship, imagine what they would and could do. Those detrimental and unacceptable conducts when you gentlemen get into a business or professional relationship with them. Expect the lack of favors, time-consuming inconveniences, constant clumsiness, avoidance of responsibilities, silly excuses, fickle-mindedness, pointing fingers, unpaid overdue debts, cooking the books, stealing clients, fabricating or deprecating your reputation, initiating internal propagandas, etc. You name them. The easiest way to spot them is to see their lack of commitment or practice onto anything that they've implied they value. Number 2, they are afraid, reluctant, or hesitant to make uncomfortable or unacceptable things clear. I think for us mature and civilized gentlemen, we like it when if someone has a personal problem with us, they have the courage to confront us with their issues and make them clear to us of what we did wrong, what they're not comfortable with, and what they would prefer as a counter-argument or measure, instead of being silently bitter about their problems with us and trying to bait our sympathy or even apology through sarcastic remarks and, most annoying of all, the passive-aggressive behaviors. You can easily sense this through their avoidant behavior and their salty expressions towards us, in which they will explicitly demonstrate to try and evoke the feelings of guilt and sympathy from us. Now, normally when this happens, we try to extensively lick their wounds to find out what we did wrong and going out of our ways just to please or beg them to get them to lower their guard down and convey their issues to us, or what they think or feel we did wrong. Just like how we used to beg women to state what their problems are when they will eventually vent out their frustration on their own. The problem with doing this is that we inadvertently drop all the self-respect we have over ourselves and allow them to dictate our actions because they've made us feel guilty over our unintentional and inexplicable actions. The ethical, appropriate, and respectable thing for anyone to do is to let them process their own emotions and wait for them to confront us with a reasonable explanation of what is uncomfortable or unacceptable to them. We should not initiate the confrontation as we are not the ones who is suffering from the issue. We're not their mothers, and it's not our responsibility to find out what their issues are. It's their right to confront us if they have a problem with us, but it's never our obligation to find out. There is a popular saying from where I come from: if you're too afraid to ask, then you'll get stuck in the way. And it is very similar to this case. If you have a problem with me, come and see me. If not, or if you don't want to, then live or deal with it on your own. The main issues with these passive-aggressive individuals are that they often take things personal all the time due to their massive insecurities. They also have vindictive or vengeful tendencies, and they are horrible at keeping secrets. They may seem secretive in front of us, but behind closed doors, they're the ones who will try extensively to damage our reputation, because all those pent-up frustration has to come out at some point, so it is best to keep a close eye on them or to avoid them completely. These types of individuals will always silently play the crybaby victim card, and worse, will try their best to move you emotionally off-center, either through making situations awkward and uncomfortable for you and other people around you, or they'll desperately try to direct and spread negative opinions about you through false rumors they've conceived out of their own purely subjective assumptions. Those whom you can't trust are those who refuse to reach out first and acknowledge their wrongdoings that were detrimental and costly to other people in the group, and they remain arrogantly ignorant about them with a subtle devil-may-care attitude, thinking that other people will simply tolerate them forever, won't think of it as a big deal, or get over it easily. Even if it's only little things like bailing out of a planned meeting at the very last minute, which may not sound significant enough to be called out, but it's still wasting other people's time and effort, and just showcasing the lack of respect, acknowledgement, and appreciation. The problem with this is that if you let this individual be, over time it will have a counterproductive effect to the group. You must get rid of this individual immediately, despite you being acquainted with them for a long time, and I think I don't have to tell you why. Such an individual is a bad example to be a representative of your social circle or even your professional circle, and with their devil-may-care attitude, they will have very little moral resistance in going against you when the right opportunities present themselves. Finding out who to trust and who not to trust can be very tricky and often could take a long time to find out based on our experiences with people. But that doesn't mean we can't take into account questionable pattern of behaviors that constantly cause minute incremental harms to the people around them, even if it's not blood that they spill. Those are my subtle signs of a snake. What about yours, gentlemen? Thank you for watching.